So I wrote a little code here that I wanted to review. So hopefully this makes sense as far as some of the things that you'll need to know when you're doing programming. The first is the types of variables that we can have. So in this example here, I'm going to have several types of variables. I'm going to have a type of variable that I call an int or type int. Now ints are numeric numbers. They're whole numbers. They don't have decimal positions. Doubles, however, allow for decimal positions. So what do we mean by a decimal position? Well, a decimal position could be something like this. Something after the decimal point. Okay, so doubles are typically used when we're doing mathematical equations, and when we are defining a double, we just use the keyword double. Int, the keyword int, is used to define an integer. Integers are whole numbers. They can't have decimal positions. Booleans are types that are either true or false. And then strings are alphanumeric. They're characters. A long stream of characters. Okay, so I have a class here called a review, and my review class has a main method. The main method is called whenever I execute a Java application, and inside of this class I've also declared another method called print something. Now we sometimes will see the word static used. Static is something known as a class member. Variables or fields which are defined outside of any method or inside of any method. If they're defined outside of a method, they're known as global fields or member fields. If they're defined as static, they're known as class fields, class members, or class member fields. It means that this value I for this class review, no matter how many people are calling review at the same time, then there's only one value of I for that class review. When we talk about objects, objects allow me to declare variables without the static keyword. Those are called instance variables, and we'll talk about them at another time. So in my main method, I call the print something method. Notice the print something method is a static method also declared inside of the same class. Now, what you call your methods is typically determined when somebody gives you a specification. They'll tell you, use this method, build this method inside of this class, and they'll tell you what the name of the method is. Okay? Now I'm going to use some of these variables that we declared. I'm going to use a double, D. D is going to be the value of 100 divided by 7, just to show you how to do division and remainders. So remainders is what's left over after I divide 100 by 7. So 7 goes into 100 14 times. 14 times 7 is 98 with 2 remainder. So the value of remainder should be equal to 2. So I'm going to print out D, and I'm going to print out remainder. This plus sign here is actually when I combine a string plus a non-string. What Java does is it converts these values to strings and then it concatenates them. Concatenating them means that it pushes them together. The next thing we're going to do is show you a loop for I equals 0. Well, there's 3 parts to a for loop. The first part is an initialization. I'm going to initialize I to be 0. I is declared up here as an int. I equals 0 while I is less than 10. And after I get done with the loop the first time and every time after that, I++ means add 1 to I. So, if I wanted to get the remainder of I divided by 2, the first time I go into this loop, I is 0. Is the remainder equal to 0? Is 0 divided by 2 equal to a remainder of 0? The answer is yes, because even numbers are 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8 that are less than 10. Odd numbers would be 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So I'm just writing 2 if statements. In Java, we use double equal sign to check for equality, or to check if something is equal to something. 1 equal sign does assignment. So here, 1 equal sign is when I assign something to a value. Here, 2 equal signs is when I check if something is true or false. So if this is true, then print this. If this is false or not true, if 1 is not equal to 0, print this. So when I save this and I run it, I should now get all of the indexes and whether they're even or odd. I should also get the value of D when I started off, which was 100 divided by 7, which is 14, with a remainder of 2, meaning 2 left over. I hope this explains a variety of things as far as your types of variables, what a double is, when you can use a double, the difference between division and remainder, and how you can go through and use a simple for loop where it loops through a certain value. Notice it's looping through I, but it's always adding 1 to I as it ends each loop. Any questions, please send me an email. You'll get an assignment to do with this. Thank you.